And we back. Welcome back to another episode of the Get Buggers podcast, powered by Hardwooding Basketball. I'm your host, Musa Marathi. I'm here to talk about Mauldin. I'm here to talk about Mauldin. I've been saying I was gonna talk about him for a little while now, but I think it's about time now. They're right now currently 0-2 in region, but they're not a bad team. They're far from it. And I just really wanted to come on here and just talk about how I feel like Mauldin is a team of the future. I feel like right now they are a decent team, but I feel like give them a year and a time to develop, and they will have a team. They will be a team ready to compete and win more games than they are this season. Now, this season there a lot is on Braden Hirschberger's plate, but they also have other guys. I was just looking and wrote a couple of things down. Like they have a very young team, very young team. And they did lose guys like I've said many times, Caleb Bird, Drake Downs, um, Reddick. Like they lost multiple seniors from last year, and that definitely hurt them, I would say, for this year. But I think Braden was willing to take on the challenge. It's definitely been challenging, I would say, just because in the last two games that this is being recorded in, they lost by two to Jail Man in a tough region game. And then earlier this week on MLK Day, they lost in overtime to Greenville, which would have been a huge victory for them. But they did beat Riverside last Friday, which gave me hope. Even when I was talking to Braden last week, he was just talking about how hopefully that Riverside game would give them momentum, and I would say it did. They're competing. They're competing. And when I did get to watch them, even against Burns a couple weeks ago, they competed. They lost by I think about 15, but it was far from a 15-point game. Mauldin was actually down by three, I believe, and maybe even tied it up at in the third quarter at one point. So they can compete. It's just a point of emphasis on finishing games. And I think this is all through development and just the age of the team. I was looking on Max Preps, and really they only have two seniors, and these seniors are. I mean, I'm not here to negate what they're doing. They're solid seniors. Fred Pearson, he's a football player, and even James Kirksey, I believe he plays football for Malden as well. These are football guys. They're playing basketball just to keep that competitive spirit and help the team overall. But Fred, a lockdown defender for them, and James Kirksey, just another big man role man for them. But they only have two seniors. That means future. That means more people are coming in. I have here that they have six juniors. The only two I'm really gonna mention though, Braden Hirschberger and Jordan Sullivan. I've only gotten to watch Jordan play once, and he seems like a solid shooter. He's confident in shooting the ball. Braden even told me he's a knockdown shooter. He's a catch and shoot guy. He can shoot the ball really well. And I mean, that's only going to get better in time. And the fact that they have six juniors just means that the chemistry can be even better next year, and that the chemistry should be better next year. I looked, they only have one sophomore, but that is the brother to Caleb Bird, being Mackenzie Bird. And he didn't play, I don't believe, when I watched him, or he might have gotten a little bit of minutes, but he's still in the development process. But he's like 6'4", 6'5" at this point, and if he can develop into what I believe and what other people believe he can develop into with his size and athleticism, he can be a really key piece for them, especially in next year. And I know I keep saying next year, and that this year isn't over. Let me not get that wrong. They could flip the switch. They have shown that they're able to compete with tough teams like Greenville, who is what, like 16-1 right now on the season. They can compete with these teams. It's just the inconsistency I'm worried about for this year, and why I keep referencing the next year, because like they once lost by one in that game, lost by two to Jail Man, but other games like Eastside lost by 15. Eastside is a good team. They're playing a tough schedule. They're playing a tough schedule, but they're 5A. They're always gonna have a tough schedule. And I feel like in 5A, you always, I mean, if you're a young team, it's always going to be hard to compete. And I mean, I'm glad that their players are taking on the challenge, but I'm just talking about next year, because next year they have something coming. They have freshman being Nathan Wilburn, who has shown his scoring spark, and just capability at scoring the ball as a freshman, just as a freshman this year. Alvarez Smith, a defensive and just reliable guy for them. I've also heard that he's able to finish at the rim, and he takes advantage of his opportunities. And I feel like next year his confidence is going to grow. And then another guy I'd like to mention, Jay Shaw, just another freshman that they have. When I watched him, I had heard that he had been starting, and I didn't really watch um, until this moment. But he does solid at the point guard position. He knocks down open shots, and he tries to get his team involved. There are a few errors here and there where he might turn the ball over, but I mean that's all a part of development. Get beaten up a little bit, you just got to get right back up, and I think he's taking on the challenge, and that's just great to see as a freshman. I think he'll be ready for next year, and I think all these guys will, because there's just times when they really can just kick it, if they can kick it into that third gear, and maybe get the lead on the team and push them off, instead of making just turnovers that lead the team into getting momentum, and just factors like that, because I feel like they have the capability. Like even against Burns, when I did watch them, I know I'm referencing this game, but this is the game I watched them play. And Burns is a very talented 5A. Don't get me wrong. Even though Burns is 1 and 2 in region, that's neither here nor there. Um, Mauldin can compete with these teams, and I know they can, because even though they are a young team, they got tough nose. They got guys that are willing to play hard every game and put their bodies on the line. Because they're like I'd say they're like Berea, but 5A edition. Berea has a lot of young guys, and they're just over there competing. And I feel like this is exactly what Mauldin's doing. They're always going to be the underdog. They go into every game, but they don't play like they're the underdog. They always play hard, and they're always gonna be willing to They're always striving for the win, nothing less than a win. And I hope that they do get this momentum, because even I'm not gonna say they only have Braden. Braden has, but I was gonna mention how Braden has had multiple 20-point games in just the recent 2 weeks, and I'm just hoping that they take advantage the uh, of the player they have in Braden Hirschberger, because he's a good talent. He's a good talent, and I just don't want to see his last 2 years of high school go to waste. Not go to waste, but I mean, it's always good to put up stats. It's always good to have good stats, but if you're not winning, I've heard that college coaches may not look at you as much if you're not winning. Stats are cool and all, but if you can't put the game together and win the game, even if it may not be on him. The coaches are gonna look and be like, well, he's the best player on the team, get it done. And I'm just hoping that the players around him, being like the freshmen and all the juniors that they have, are just able to grow around with him. And I believe they can. I know all those freshmen play AAU together. They all could play at a competitive level, and just to see them all out on the court, even nowadays, that the coach is giving them that chance and giving them the luxury to go out there and compete just as freshmen, and giving them, what's the word, giving them a chance to work through trial and error. If they turn the ball over or something, coach isn't immediately taking them out. He's having them play through that, and play and know that they have the confidence to get better, and just play better. Confidence is everything, man. If these guys get the confidence, they'll be a scary team, because I know Braden has it. He's a confident guy. He definitely he knows he can play. So I have no problem in that. But just I don't want him to be like the what, Bradley Beal almost of high school basketball, where he just goes crazy in his last 2 years, but the team doesn't have success. Because I looked on their walls. They won region 2021 and 2022, and although Caleb and Drake, they all had their guys. They all had guys. But at the end of the day, they were a team. I don't think Caleb or Drake could have just done it by themselves. And that's why even till this day we are. I mean, they're on the wall. And even if they don't win region, Mauldin, I mean, once again, that's a 5A school. Even if they don't win region, I mean, just making their presence known, winning games, being a threat to the other teams, that's huge. And I feel like they can do it. I feel like they can do it. Now, this season, can they do it? It's tough. Woodmont's been playing well in their region, and Tiohana, even Tiohana, if they're, I know they'll probably be in the same region next year, and really Tiohana's losing guys, but I mean, Jaquarius Patterson is still there, but even with Jaquarius, I feel like I'm not saying I don't know. Jaquarius is very athletic, but I think Braden is down. He's down to compete versus anybody. He obviously showed that even with Elijah having 40 against him the other day. They still play. They still made it to overtime, and that's what I was saying. I mean, even though someone like Elijah's caliber scored 40, they were still able to compete and almost squeeze out the victory. Also, I wanted to mention they really could have won this game. I mean, who was, I believe it was James Kirksey, got fouled at the buzzer, just happened to miss. He made one, miss one, so then it tied the game instead of taking it home. So that's exactly why I keep saying they are able to win games. They just need to put it together, and I think they will in the coming season. And hopefully by the end of this season, they can still make playoffs. Let me not make that shot. Let me not say they can't. They definitely can make playoffs. They definitely can revamp their season. But all the best to Mauldin, man. I just wanted to come on here and give my 2 cents about how I feel. And shout out to Braden, man. He's been playing a lot better this season. He's really taken on that role, of trying to lead this team. And I know it's tough in 5A, but he's definitely he's been playing solid, especially in the last couple of weeks. He's been playing a lot, even better in the last couple of weeks, really turning it on. But that will conclude this episode of the Get Buggish podcast. Yeah, Mauldin, keep working hard, and hey, your time's coming. Peace.